Today I want to attempt a run of Pokemon Heart Gold using my favorite type, the Poison type. Now we're playing Heart Gold for a specific reason. We actually gain one extra encounter as opposed to Soul Silver. It does push another encounter to Goldenrod instead of getting it before the first gym, and I don't know if that's going to break this run or make this run. The additional encounter is not that great. You guys will have to be the judge of it. But as I said before, poison types are an absolute favorite of mine, and Gen 4. These are great games. This is going to be fun, and I thought I had done this run earlier, but as I was going through and checking off what runs I've done, I was sadly mistaken. Now, I do use the universal randomizer to take a clean game and make a save file such as this one. I did change the impossible evolution so that we can get a Gengar in this run. That's why Lyra has the Onyx. I know there were some questions in a previous episode about that, why certain things happen the way they do, and for full transparency, that's what we do. Now, for the early game stuff, I chose Totodile. I was mostly thinking about the fact that this is a better HM Mon than the other two, not the fact that this gave our rival the Chikorita, which we are super effective against. It's not going to change much, though, so I'm not really worried about it. Now, we do come back to the lab, and we get accused of stealing a Pokemon, and the dopey-ass professor just sits there not saying a word, and now we get to rat out the rival and nickname him, which we nickname him Algorithm, because we were trying to beat the algorithm in-game and in real life. As far as in-game goes, it's not going to be that difficult. We have a couple of key battles, and once we get through those, it should be relatively easy, but the real-life algorithm is much more difficult to defeat, and I need your help. How can you help, you may ask? Well, it is very simple. You can like the video, you can comment on the video, subscribe to the channel, share this video with your friends, hit the notification bell. Any and all interactions with the channel does help out a ton, and it is greatly appreciated. Thank you guys again for the continued support. These runs would not be the same, obviously, without your support. And if you don't like the self-promo stuff, I mean, it's only like a minute and a half worth of stuff, you can skip ahead. Now, after we deal with Professor Elm and the early game stuff, the first thing that we need to do, which the professor told us, is we need to go talk to our mom. And in any Johto run, have her save money. She can get you things like a choice scarf, a focus sash, the type weakening berries. This is always a great move to do in any Johto run. Our first encounter, of course, at night is a Spinarak named Phosphine. It has a bashful neutral nature, and this is the additional encounter that we can get here in Heart Gold that we can't get in Soul Silver. Do you think that this encounter was worth me starting in this game? Now, this is the encounter that we get, and it pushes the Ekans until Goldenrod. I don't know if that's great. Having an Ekans against the first couple of gyms might be better, and this Pokemon leaves a lot to be desired. Now, at level 2, it was difficult to level this thing up. On Route 30, there are some wild Metapods that you can take out. They can't do any damage to us. Once we had gotten to level 4, then I headed back to Route 29 and started doing some speed and attack EV training. Not a lot, just enough that we can beat these early game Pokemon and get to our next encounters. I don't know if this was worth starting in Heart Gold for this Pokemon. I love it. It is the most adorable little spider I've ever seen. I hope this was a good choice. Now, of course, I didn't get to say this in the last clip, but there is a nickname theme with Phosphine here. Can you guys guess it? Immediately after getting through those trainers, we can catch on Route 31 a Bellsprout we named Trifluoride. It has a hardy neutral nature and the chlorophyll ability. Immediately heading to the Dark Cave nets us a Zubat that we named Trichloride. It has an Impish plus defense and minus special attack nature with the ability Inner Focus. These are two great additions to the early game team. There's a bunch of stuff to do in the Bellsprout Tower, but more importantly, we do catch a modest Ghastly named Ammonia. Now, this isn't going to help us against the fight with Faulkner because we have no way of attacking his team, but maybe this thing learns Curse, and maybe it becomes a key component in the battle, so I catch it anyway. This is one of those rare instances where we've got a decent full team. 4 Pokemon is pretty full for us, but 2 of our Pokemon are weak to flying moves, and 1 can't hit normal types, so we have to lead with Trichloride. At the level cap, we do learn Bite, so we fire off a Bite turn 1. It does well over half of Pidgey's health, and it gets a lucky flinch. So another Bite polishes off the Pidgey without any damage taken. Now, I thought this was going to be a very good battle, but I still have over 3 minutes of battle left. Yeah, the Pidgeotto is uber annoying. It does outspeed us and hit us with a gust turn 1, doing a decent amount of damage to Trichloride here. If I lose Trichloride in this battle, I've got to restart. This is a key component to our team. Turn 2, it goes for Roost, healing itself up. Now, one thing to remember with them using Roost is you do lose your flying type. So it goes for Tackle, which is pretty random, and we're missing Supersonics because 55% accurate. The Oranberry there, you may be wondering where we got that from. You can actually get it from Wild Centrets. I sat on Route 29 catching them until I found one with an Oranberry. That's why we have one. I do decide to make a swap to Ammonia that does miss a tackle on the swap in, and then I go for a Hail Mary Hypnosis, which connects. This is why I said this Pokemon may come in handy, and it may be the key to this battle. Pidgeotto stays asleep as I go for Curse, and then, of course, it wakes up and hits us with a Gust, which we survive on 6 HP, luckily not losing Ammonia. Ammonia is another key component, so if we'd have lost it, we would have definitely restarted. And if Modest Nature, can't pass that up. I swap into Phosphine. Unfortunately, can't tank 2 Gusts. I was hoping to get off a Scary Face to outspeed, but that is trivial, so I swap back into Trichloride, who takes a Gust down to 17 HP on the swap in. Curse is dropped Pidgeotto kind of low, so it goes for Roost. We hit it with a Bite, bringing it back to half health, and then Curse drops it below half. We get hit with a final Tackle down to 8 HP, and one more Bite Curse combo takes out the Pidgeotto, winning us a very scary and sketchy first gym battle. So it has been a long time since we just sat in the grass doing some EV training, and I brought you guys in for a little chit chat. A lot of people love this, a few people do not. If you're one of the people that do not, then just skip ahead. You don't have to watch the whole video. A lot of people like to put these videos on 1.5 times speed. That helps get through them because I do drag things out a little bit. It's my video, it's my channel. I'm going to say and do what I want. Plus, I'm trying to be a little more personable behind the mic as opposed to just, here's the gym, here's the battle, here's the gym, here's the battle. That shit gets kind of old pretty quick. What I wanted to talk about today goes back to a conversation we had many episodes ago where we were talking about being courteous and people driving. I do a lot of driving for work, and it is amazing the people on the roads in this day and age. I don't remember it ever being this bad when I was younger, but maybe I was naive. That's probably more accurate than people spontaneously getting dumber. No matter, I do the defensive driving, and sometimes you just got to sit behind the wheel and yell at the window. You know you're getting on the highway, right? You know you're getting on the highway, right? You know you're getting on the highway, right? And I don't give anybody the middle finger anymore. Now I just drive past them and give them a thumbs down. I feel that's more like, I'm not mad at you, I'm just disappointed. Anyway, I was actually stuck in traffic, and I look over at the car to my right, and this individual is knuckles deep digging something out of their nose. That's pretty bold. I wouldn't be caught doing that, not in traffic. But there again, I do understand that sometimes you gotta dig for gold. Sometimes it's impeding your breathing and you just gotta get it out. Now, as I'm looking at this person, they of course turn, they look at me, they see me seeing them doing what they're doing, and then they turn back forward, and of course they never skipped a beat. They just keep doing what they're doing like it is nothing. The crazy thing is, as I sat there and thought about this, this individual and I had this exchange, and we will probably never see anybody or each other again. And with that, for me, that guy doesn't really mean anything. In my story, I'm the main character, and he's, for a lack of better words, an NPC. The true can be said about him. In his story, he is the main character, and I'm the NPC. And as I sat there and thinking about this, it just blew my mind at how many people, you see thousands of people every day, whether it's walking somewhere or driving somewhere, they're all main characters in their stories. It does prove a point that people need better stories, maybe better narrators, better writing staff. I don't know. People need to get fired for sure. But nonetheless, it really does prove how small and insignificant your own story is in comparison, because there's hundreds of thousands, millions, billions of other stories happening every day. And you may be part of a few hundred of those stories, but even still, like with my friend that met an unfortunate end, I was a part of his story, but I didn't know the whole story. So we just got to put it into perspective. And that's what life is in general, is all perspective. If you wake up in the morning and you perceive the day as going to be crap and you run around with that attitude, guess what? You're probably going to have a crap day. But if you wake up and you're like, you know what? Today's going to be a great day. I don't care what happens. It's going to be great. You're probably going to have an okay day. It's all about perspective. And that is my TED Talk. Thanks for listening. No. I'm serious, though. It goes back to like karma, right? Put good out, get good back. Put bad out, you get bad back. It really does happen, and life is crazy and too short to be running around constantly angry about things. I do hope you guys are having a great day wherever you're at in the world. I hope you enjoyed this video, and as it turns out, we're just shy of 5 minutes of rambling, so if you didn't want to watch this part, hopefully you skipped through it. Before heading to Bugsy, we take a trip to the Ilex forest where we catch Monoxide, the Oddish that has a docile neutral nature. That's a couple of different neutral natures on the team. I will take this thing. It has the chlorophyll ability, and this has potential to be a pretty good Pokemon, and we are almost at a full team. As we take on Bugsy, we find ourselves in a precarious position, a rock in a hard place if you will. We lose Trichloride here. I am going to reset the run. Trichloride is going to have to do this entirely solo. Luckily for us, he learns Wing Attack at the level cap. Unfortunately, we are outsped by the Scyther, which sets up a Focus Energy. Wing Attack does well over half of Scyther's health, but the held Citrus Berry is going to pull it back up to where I don't think we can two-shot it. We do get hit with a priority Technician boosted Quick Attack that does exactly half of our health. We do have a held Oran Berry. I think that's better than a Citrus Berry at these low levels, so I equip that. And then a follow-up Wing Attack leaves Scyther on a Sliver. Now, I know Bugsy's going to go for a Super Potion, but still, I was stalling here thinking, man, if I lose Trichloride, I'm going to reset. I know that this Pokemon is needed for late-game stuff, and it is my favorite Pokemon, so I want to see it to the end. Crobat is my favorite. Another Quick Attack leaves us at 11 HP. We had to dodge a critical hit there, but we can connect with a Wing Attack, and that is all she wrote. Kind of anticlimactic, but as I was doing this battle, it was very, very scary. The Metapod comes out and falls to a single stab super effective Wing Attack, and the Kakuna falls the exact same way, winning us the second gym badge, and Trichloride made it through. I do believe it's the events of the Slowpoke well that trigger this battle when heading to Azalea. Of course, we left it until after we took on Bugsy, because if we would have lost Trichloride, we would have reset the run. Our rival leads with Ghastly, and I lead Phosphine. I really want this Pokemon to be better. We do get outsped, and Ghastly's going for Spite, which of course misses. Nightshade then does a decent amount of damage, well over half of Ghastly's health. It is fixed damage at 17 HP. And then Ghastly goes for Curse. Takes itself out, but that is annoying because the Affliction from Curse is going to do a quarter of our health every single turn. So we take a little bit of damage before the Bayleaf comes out, and then as the Bayleaf does come out, I swap. We bring in Trifluoride as Bayleaf goes for a Reflect, and then we get outsped and hit with a Razor Leaf that we resist very well. We then tag the Bayleaf with a Poison Powder, very nice. Now this thing has a little bit of chip damage over time. I do decide to swap back into Phosphine as Bayleaf goes for a Synthesis, healing up the poison damage, and then it goes right back down to the same health because of poison. It goes for Synthesis again, fully healing itself up, and I wanted to see what Leech Life would do. It doesn't do any damage. Yeah, should have stuck with Nightshade. We do get hit with a resisted Razor Leaf, not doing much, and then I go for Scary Face just to get the speed advantage. Reflect wears off at this point, which doesn't really matter for us because I'm swapping up to Nightshade. It does drop Bayleaf low, and Bayleaf sets up Reflect again, but after the poison damage, one more Nightshade can take that thing out. I told you the rival wasn't going to be so bad, it's just a little long-winded. Zubat then comes out and I go for Nightshade, which doesn't quite do half, and it misses a Supersonic. One more Nightshade drops the Zubat down to low health, and then it hits us with a Bite. I don't know why I did this, but I swapped up for Leech Life, which doesn't KO the Zubat. Luckily for us, it misses another Supersonic, so we can just take this thing out with a Nightshade, ending the battle. That could have gone a little bit sideways there. Arriving in Goldenrod, and it is now time to start prepping for the Whitney battle. Our first preparation comes in the form of the Game Corner because we can get our next encounter here in Ekans for 700 coins. I really hope this thing has Intimidate, otherwise it does change our plans ever so slightly, but it is another encounter nonetheless. As far as the held items are concerned, I definitely want at least one wide lens, maybe two for our powdered users, and then a metronome isn't a bad idea. In the TM selection, we definitely need a Thunderbolt TM, maybe Substitute, maybe Ice Beam, I don't know, but we need to start the grind, and we need to start it now. First off, we do get our Ekans that we name Chlorine. It has a Jolly plus speed minus special attack nature, and it does have the Intimidate ability. That is phenomenal for the upcoming battle. Doing some training north of Goldenrod, we actually have encounters on both Route 35 and 36. On Route 35, we catch a female Nidoran with a modest plus special attack and minus attack nature. It has the Rivalry ability, which is fine, I guess. And then on Route 36, we can get a Nidoran male that we name Oxide. It has a hasty plus speed minus defense nature. This thing has the Poison Point ability, and both are great encounters and welcome additions to the team. And with a little bit of training, Florine is actually the first evolution on our team, evolving from a Nidoran female to a Nidorina. Very nice. And not too long later, we have another evolution with Oxide evolving into a Nidorino. Nice bulk added to the team right before taking on a very strong opponent, Whitney. Now, Whitney is a pretty big threat. Everybody knows that. Her Miltank is very strong. It does have the Scrappy ability, which is why Trichloride and Ammonia are sitting in the box. Her Clefairy shouldn't be counted out either. With a move like Metronome that can pull you don't know what, things could get a little bit crazy really fast. We do miss our Sleep Powder turn 1, which is crazy because I do have the held wide lens, and then we get hit 3 times with a double slap. Doesn't make sense to me, but it is what it is. We then put the Clefairy to sleep, and my plan is to do this battle as damageless as possible. This way we can roll into the Miltank and status it, eating up its Lumberry as soon as possible. Unfortunately, Acid is doing like just over a quarter, but not quite a third. So a second one drops it into low yellow health, and then Clefairy wakes up pulling Flash on Metronome. Flash? What? I swap up for Absorb, which misses, and then the Clefairy mimics the Absorb. What I'm trying to do is not put this thing into healing range. We do connect with an Absorb the very next turn. Unfortunately, it does a little more damage than I thought it would, and I think this puts Clefairy in healing range. Double slap misses, and then, yep, Whitney uses a Super Potion. And then I miss Acid. Why not? I connect the next turn with an Acid, and then Clefairy goes for Metronome, which pulls Confusion. Of course it does. That's super effective against us. Luckily, Clefairy doesn't have a lot of attack, so it doesn't do much. We then connect with a Poison Powder. I think this is going to help us. We should have done this first. But again, I was trying to do this as minimal damage as possible. Metronome then pulls Imprison, which is what it is. Clefairy gets hurt with Poison, and then we can switch back to Acid that does a decent amount of damage. Clefairy then hits us with a double slap, because why not? Poison then drops Clefairy low into red health, but because Whitney's already used one Super Potion, she doesn't heal, and we can take it out with an Acid. That took over 2 minutes of real time. Then comes out the beast, Miltank. I'm scared for Monoxide's health here, so I do swap immediately into Chlorine. We get off that Intimidate drop, and then Miltank goes for Attract. That's perfectly fine, because we're going to rotate immediately. Trifluoride comes out. We do get hit with a Stomp that does more damage than I thought it should. We're going to risk a crit here, and Miltank just goes for Attract, so never mind, we're not risking a crit. We do break through the Infatuation to land a Sleep Powder. This is just to burn the Lumberry that Miltank has. We then do get hit with a stomp, which leaves us at 7 HP, as I was attempting to go for another move, but we stay infatuated. Okay, let's go ahead and swap back into Chlorine to get another Intimidate off, and then Miltank is setting up a rollout. Oh no. We get hit with a second rollout that gets a critical hit down to 14 HP, activating our Citrus Berry. We connect with Clair to paralyze this thing, hopefully stopping its rollout. I really don't know what to do here. I have some options. I don't think I'll survive a third rollout, but maybe I will. I stay in and go for a Screech, because Chlorine can go down, that's fine. Luckily, rollout misses. Okay, we risked it, and we came out on the other end. I might as well swap and save Chlorine, so I swap into Oxide, who gets hit with an Attract immediately on the swap in. We then go for a Leer, and then Miltank hits us with a Stomp. Doesn't do a lot of damage because the -2, which is great. We stay attracted, we get hit with another Stomp down to 35 HP, and then I decide to swap into Chlorine to get another Intimidate off, bringing this thing to -3. Stomp then doesn't do a lot of damage to us, but again, if it gets a critical hit, we would have been dead, so I pivot into Fluorine. Miltank stays paralyzed on the swap in, which is absolutely beautiful. Now we can start hitting some double kicks, which take Miltank to half health. Miltank then stays paralyzed, so now we can take this thing out with one more double kick, and that is a huge threat beaten without a single death. I was willing to sacrifice a couple of Pokemon in this run, but I didn't have to. Doing some training as we're heading to Ecruteak, we can get an evolution with Monoxide evolving into a Gloom. Very nice. In the Burn Tower, we have another rival battle that I don't typically show, but a lot of my Pokemon don't have great movesets right now. We're kind of in that mid-game where Pokemon should be evolving and start developing a moveset, but we're still kind of stuck. Phosphine did learn Shadow Sneak, which is a priority Ghost-type move, but its base 40 power isn't enough to take out the Ghastly. A Mean Look is fine, that means we can't escape. Another Shadow Sneak easily takes out the Ghastly. Out next is the Zubat, and this is where I don't have a good moveset. We do get hit with a Supersonic. I don't quite have Thunderbolt yet for my Ghastly, so it is what it is. We do stay confused and hurt ourselves in confusion, so I decide to swap into Oxide. Oxide gets hit with a Wing Attack on the swap in, so it was a good thing that we swapped it in. And then I go for Double Kick, which was a stupid play. It's not going to do much damage. And then we get hit with another Wing Attack. I go for Peck, which doesn't do a lot of damage, and then we get tagged with a Supersonic. I decide to swap into Fluorine, who gets hit with a Wing Attack on the swap in, and then I just go for Scratch. Zubat misses a Supersonic, we hit it with a Scratch. It misses a Supersonic, we hit it with Scratch. It connects with a Supersonic, and we break through to KO it with a Scratch. Very uneventful. Bayleaf comes out, and I swap back into Phosphine as it sets up a Reflect. This is where I should have just done a lot of things different. I go for Shadow Sneak, misclicked, and then we get hit with a resisted Magical Leaf. No big deal. Bayleaf then goes for Synthesis because it's an annoying Pokemon, and we hit it with Nightshade. Doesn't do as much damage as I thought it could, and then Synthesis, of course, heals it right back up. We go for Scary Face, and then Nightshade, and then Bayleaf just hits us with a Magical Leaf. We're sitting at about half health as I switch it up for Leech Life because of the Reflect going down. Doesn't do as much as I thought it would, and then Synthesis, of course, heals the Bayleaf back up almost to full. Well then, Trichloride comes out and Bayleaf resets up the Reflect, which is annoying because now Wing Attack doesn't do as much. A Synthesis fully heals up the Bayleaf, and we're just going to do a little battle of attrition here as I go for Wing Attack and get hit with a Magical Leaf. Another Wing Attack takes it to half, and then Synthesis, of course, heals it back up. We get a critical hit Wing Attack to finally drop the Bayleaf to low red health, and then it hits us with a Magical Leaf. One more Wing Attack finally takes that damn thing out. I said that we had super effective moves against it, but it's still kicking my ass. I swap into Fluorine as the Magnemite comes out, and we get hit with a Thunder Shock. I then go for Double Kick that takes Magnemite to about half health, and we get tagged with a Thunder Wave. Annoyingly, we stay paralyzed, so we get tagged with a Supersonic, but luckily we break through Confusion and Paralysis to take out the Magnemite with a Double Kick. I should have done this training sooner and evolved these Pokemon because we can get some back-to-back Evos, starting out with Phosphine evolving into an Ariados. Next is trichloride, evolving into a beastly Golbat. A little bit of friendship, and this thing is going to evolve into our friend, Crobat. But before that, we stop off in Olivine to pick up the good rod from this guy. This is going to net us 2 more encounters, but we have to do a little bit of backtracking to get them. Hey, Entei. Too bad this isn't a fire-type runner. I would use you. As I said, after a little bit of friendship, we can finally get another evolution with trichloride fully evolving into a beastly Crobat. This is one of the fastest Pokemon that we can get in this run. I did forget to show this, but in the Burn Tower, we did catch a coughing named Chloride. It has a gentle plus special defense and minus defense nature. It has levitate, and you know this thing's only good for going boom. Backtracking all the way to New Bark Town, fishing with the good rod, we can catch ourselves a Tentacool that we named Cyanide with a hardy neutral nature. Very nice. We needed to get this Pokemon on our team so that we ensure our next encounter, which is a Quillfish named Dioxide. It has a naive, plus speed, and minus special defense nature, and as far as Jotonian poison-type Pokemon go, it's Quillfish, Ariados, and Crobat. That's it. I really want this thing on the team, but it is outclassed in every single way by Cyanide. So, yeah. You're probably going to sit in the box, and I am terribly sorry. A lot of training before Morty. We have another evolution with Ammonia evolving into a Haunter. It's going to be a little bit before we get the Gengar, but this is a welcome addition to the team. I do decide to put some work into Chlorine. After it's showing in the Whitney battle, we evolve it into an Arbok, and this thing is going to be a key component in the battle with Morty. There was a lot of planning and strategy that went into this battle. I have quite a few Pokemon that have super effective moves against Morty's team, but at level 22, Arbok, Chlorine, learned Crunch and has the strongest move that could potentially attack his Ghost-type Pokemon. Couple that with the Metronome item, and we should be able to actually outspeed and one-shot his Gengar, which is pretty rare. Of course, the Ghastly goes down in a single shot. Out next is the Haunter, which we can one-shot with a Crunch, boosting that Metronome just a little bit. It was a crit, but that did not matter. And then next out, of course, is his Ace Gengar. That's a little bit scary. We did level up, so we do outspeed, and we can fire off a Crunch that with the 2 boosts from Metronome, we one-shot, and that is very nice. The last Haunter is going to come out, and we, of course, are going to one-shot that, and that was a very easy Morty battle, and a very good showing from Chlorine. The best part of any Johto run, of course, is seeing Jasmine, and realistically, you know, we are married at this point, and so she's got me doing some honeydews, and so here we are off to Cianwood. Just before arriving in Cianwood, we do have another beastly evolution with Cyanide evolving into a Tentacruel. What a monster of a Pokemon. In Cianwood, we decide to take on Chuck before getting the secret potion. We have Trichloride with Stab super effective Pluck. I did pick that up on the route heading to Cianwood. It is going to be enough to one-shot the Primeape. I believe the Primeape does have Rock Slide, which is a bit scary, but it doesn't matter. As the Poliwrath comes out, we're going to be able to hit this thing with a Pluck. It does well over half of its health, but the benefit is we steal its Citrus Berry. I don't need it, but it doesn't need it either. It fires back with a Body Slam that we tank very well, and one more Pluck takes out the Poliwrath, winning us a very easy gym. You know, as we do this honeydew, I'm starting to realize that the honeydew list never ends. It doesn't matter how much I get done, she's always just got more for me to do. Like, this is what happens when you're just head over heels for somebody, and you can't stop trying to be the best version of yourself for them and for yourself. I guess really, I may have a ton of honeydews to do, but she has made me a better person because of it. We are going to do things a little bit out of order. As far as the level caps go, Pryce is actually the next gym leader, then Jasmine. I did backtrack to Cherrywood to grab the Mystic Water, and I did do some leveling up on Cyanide so that we can just take out Jasmine's Steel type relatively easy. A move like Surf against her Pokemon stand no chance. Even the Magnemites that have super effective moves against us are going to go down in a single Surf. The second Magnemite goes down in a single Surf like the first one before it, and her last Pokemon is Steelix. Steelix has the highest base defense in any of these games, but it has very low special defense, so a stab super effective Surf does take it out in a single shot, winning us the gym badge a little early. At the Lake of Rage, we did pick up the choice specs, and so against Pryce and his quote-unquote ice types, we are leading Ammonia. Ammonia now has the move Thunderbolt, so with these specs, we can easily one-shot the Seal with a super effective Thunderbolt. The Dugong is going to come out next, and it too is going to fall to a super effective choice specs boosted Thunderbolt. This brings out Piloswine, and because we're locked into Thunderbolt because of specs, I do swap into Cyanide, which didn't overlevel in the last battle. We tank a Blizzard on the swap in very nicely, and then we can fire off a stab super effective Mystic Water boosted Surf that easily one-shots the Piloswine, winning us the 7th gym badge. On Route 43, I catch another encounter, probably our last, a Venonat named Sulfide. It has a naughty plus attack minus special defense nature. I wish this Pokemon was a lot better. There is one more encounter that we can technically get in the national park, but I don't want to Weedle. While we're here, we're going to head into this guardhouse after defeating the Team Rocket hideout stuff. Talk to this guy. He gives you one of the best poison type moves in the game, Sludge Bomb. It is a special type move. I don't know who I'm going to give it to, but we pick it up nonetheless and carry on. I really wish there was a way that we could keep this Team Rocket uniform on, because every single one of our Pokemon, it doesn't matter which one, they all look absolutely stunning. Of course, that's a no-brainer, right? Team Rocket uses a bunch of poison-type Pokemon, and there are some really good ones that they should have used, and I can't believe they didn't use. I can't believe that it took people of Johto loving a Golbat long enough that it turned into a Crobat. I did look it up. I did look up to see if there was like a Game Shark cheat or something to keep this uniform on. There doesn't look like there is anything. I wish there was. Maybe there's a way to modify the sprite. I don't know. I don't want to do too much crazy stuff with the run here, because we don't need things crashing on us, right? But this looks so cool. Also, when you're in this rocket uniform, if you didn't know this, you actually can't leave the city. If we try to use Fly, it won't let us. I thought that was interesting. Now, whilst grinding out in the Team Rocket takeover of the radio tower, Ammonia finally evolves into a Gengar. This is a beastly evolution. We could have got it from trading, but Universal Randomizer helps us. Having a Pokemon like Ammonia against Petrol here is going to render his coughings and wheezing useless. They can't use their signature explosion and take us out. Now, you may notice a little bit of layout difference between the last clip and this clip because I had some severe technical difficulties. I don't know what happened. After Ammonia evolved, we glitched out a little bit. I went to reset. I saved the whole 9 yards, and then I could not reload that save. I tried to load some other saves from like Platinum or Black and White or Black 2 and White 2. Nothing would reload. I tried to redo a bunch of stuff. Ultimately, I had to delete the entire DS, reinstall it, and then redo everything because it's not 100%. There was a little white line at the bottom of the main screen. There's a little white line at the bottom of the secondary screen. We do fix it, but I had some severe technical difficulties and we had to reinstall our DS from scratch. So that was annoying. Luckily, we didn't lose the run. I don't always use save states. I typically only use in-game saves because it creates a file. That was the smartest thing that I've done. In the Goldenrod Underground, we have another rival battle. This is not going to be very difficult. Against his Golbat, we lead Cyanide, who can easily one-shot this thing with an Ice Beam. We spend some time leveling up these Pokemon and getting movesets. The Magnemite goes down to a single Surf, just like Jasmine's. The Meganium comes out and has Petal Dance, so I swap into Trichloride, who resists it very well. We then go for a Stab Super Effective Fly, which leaves it on a Sliver. Okay. A follow-up Bite takes out the Meganium. Next up is Sneasel. We can one-shot this thing with a U-turn. Very nice. And his last Pokemon is Haunter. I decided to just bring out Cyanide. Why not? Let it do its thing. It can take this thing out with a Stab Surf. After the rocket stuff, there's not much to do but head to Blackthorn City. We did learn a couple of moves with some heart scales on our Pokemon, like Cross Poison on Trichloride. Oddly enough, we're leading Oxide against the Gyarados because there's not much it can do to us and we can set up Toxic Spikes. Oxide hasn't evolved because it learns Poison Jab at level 43. I will then evolve it. Gyarados goes for Bite instead of Dragon Rage, which kind of threw me off. We set up a second layer of Toxic Spikes and then we get hit with another Bite. This does bring us into Berry range, but activates the Poison Point ability, poisoning the Gyarados. Our Citrus Berry activates, pulling us back up to half health, but it's at this point that things are getting a little precarious, and of course we don't want to lose Oxide. So we swap into Trichloride. Trichloride gets hit with a Bite on the swap in. We tank it pretty well, and then I want this thing to swap up for Dragon Rage, so I go for a Cross Poison, and Gyarados obliges us going for Dragon Rage. The poison damage after our Citrus Berry heals us up drops Gyarados low, so I know this is going to be a free swap in to Ammonia. Clair uses a Hyper Potion, fully healing up the Gyarados, a little bit of chip from Poison, and then a quad super effective Thunderbolt from a modest Gengar, one-shots it. Dragonair then comes out, and I know this thing likes to go for Thunder Wave, so I try to go for Hypnosis, which misses, and then we get hit with Thunder Wave. Shed Skin gets rid of the poison on the Dragonair, which doesn't matter, and I can swap into Cyanide. We do get hit with a Dragon Pulse on the swap in, which we tank very well, and then a Choice Specs boosted Ice Beam one-shots the Dragonair. The second one comes out, and it too falls to a Choice Specs boosted Ice Beam, and this brings out Kingdra. The whole reason we set up the Toxic Spikes. It gets poisoned on the swap in, and then we hit this thing with a nasty Ice Beam to about half health. We then get hit with a Dragon Pulse. I fumbled my words there. And then Citrus Berry activates, pulling Kingdra up a little further in health than I like. I can't leave Cyanide in as I fear a critical hit, so I swap into Trichloride. Trichloride tanks a Dragon Pulse on the swap in, and poison damage is racking up just a little bit. I then swap in Monoxide, who tanks a Dragon Pulse just above half health, and poison drops Kingdra low. I really don't know what to do here. Hidden Power Rock isn't going to help us, so I do decide to stay in. We have to risk a critical hit, and we survive on 7 HP. Mega Drain hits, doing a decent little bit of chip to Kingdra, which puts it in perfect range for poison to finish that thing off. And it's very rare that we make it through Clair without our team looking completely decimated. Just look at our team. Ouch. At level 43, Oxide learns Poison Jab, so we can evolve this thing with a Moonstone. You can get a Moonstone in the Ruins of Alph. Your mom also has a potential to buy you one as well, so I've had one for a little while, just waiting. After the Kimono Girls and the Ho-Oh stuff, the level cap is 47. We get Monoxide to level 47 to learn Giga Drain, and then can use the Leaf Stone that we've had for a long time to evolve it into a Vileplume. Phosphine is concerned about the trap. What trap? Oh, that trap. Not a thirst trap, our rival trap. This is going to be the last time that we see our rival in this run. You can battle him over in Kanto and Mount Moon, and then I think there's a chance you see him at the Elite Four after that, but I'm not really worried about it. We did teach Bug Bite via the move relearner, and we can one-shot the Sneasel. Kadabra comes out and falls to a single priority Shadow Sneak. As the Golbat comes out, I do have Natural Gift with an Ice-type Berry. That was a risky stay-in, but we go unpunished. Then Phosphine can learn Psychic. We don't have a lot of special attack on this thing. Psychic is a really good move, but I don't think we're actually going to learn it. Yeah, it's fine. As the Meganium comes out, of course, we're going to swap into the tried and true Trichloride to tank the Petal Dance very nicely. Hopefully at this point we can actually one-shot it, which we do. Very nice. Magneton comes out, and it's going to be a swap into Oxide, who learned Earthquake via the TM in Victory Road, easily one-shotting it, and this just leaves his final Pokemon, Haunter, which we still have Shadow Claw for. And here is the team all leveled up, ready to take on the Elite Four. We have Ammonia the Gengar with Shadow Ball, Thunderbolt, Dark Pulse, and Focus Miss. Next up, we have Phosphine the Ariados with Shadow Sneak, Bug Bite, Natural Gift, and Dig. We have Oxide, the Nidoking, with Shadow Claw, Poison Jab, Natural Gift, and Earthquake. Cyanide, I didn't notice this, but is not leveled up to 47, but it has Surf, Ice Beam, Toxic Spikes, and Sludge Bomb. Trichloride has Cross Poison, Roost, U-Turn, and Fly. And rounding out the team, Monoxide has Giga Drain, Sleep Powder, Moonlight, and Hidden Power Rock. No time like the present, let's take on the Elite Four. First up for the Elite Four, of course, is Will, and I really shouldn't even show this battle. With a Pokemon like Ammonia, with the choice specs and a stab super effective move in Shadow Ball, there's nothing his Pokemon can do. We're going to outspeed every single one, and we're going to one-shot them all. The first Xatu falls to a stab super effective choice specs boosted Shadow Ball. Next out is Jinx, which we outspeed and can one-shot with a stab super effective specs boosted Shadow Ball. Third out is Slowbro. This thing is slower than slow, so we outspeed it and one-shot it with a stab super effective choice specs boosted Shadow Ball. Xatu comes out and then it falls just like the first one did to a specs boosted Shadow Ball. And last out is the Executor, which doesn't stand a chance, falling to a specs boosted Shadow Ball, winning us a very easy Elite Four battle. Koga's team, unfortunately, isn't going to be a sweep, but against his lead Ariados, we are going to lead Trichloride. We have a stab super effective move in Fly, which we go for turn 1, and connect turn 2, one-shotting the Ariados. In sequential order, out next is the Venomoth, which we do the exact same thing for. We go for Fly. It does connect, and it does one-shot. Very nice. As the Fortress comes out, we don't have a good move against it, so I just pop a U-turn, and we bring out Cyanide. It's setting up Toxic Spikes against a Poison team. This shows how smart Koga is. It goes for Protect the next turn, which is annoying. We then fire off a Surf that takes Fortress low into red health as it sets up another layer of Toxic Spikes, and then Koga goes for a full Restore. A Stab Surf connects, getting a critical hit, knocking out the Fortress from there, bringing out the Crobat. I do outspeed it surprisingly and can fire off an Ice Beam that takes it low into red health, but it gets the freeze. After the Citrus Berry pulls the Crobat out of healing range, it stays frozen and we can connect with another Ice Beam to take it out. Very nice. That does bring Cyanide up to the level cap. Whatever. That was a misplay on my part, but we do swap into Oxide as the Muck comes out, and Muck is just going for Minimize. That's very annoying because we miss our first Earthquake, and it sets up another Minimize. We do connect the second turn with a stab super effective Earthquake that one-shots the Muck, winning us the battle against Koga. Bruno is third for the Elite Four, and other than his Onix, we have Trichloride and Fly to take out the rest of his team. He leads Hitmontop. I go for Fly, but get out-prioritized with a Quick Attack. So because of that, we fly up, and then we fly down, one-shotting the Hitmontop. It does have Dig, so things could have got a little bit dicey, but it is what it is. Onix, of course, is out next, so we U-turn swap into Monoxide, who gets hit with a Rock Slide, tanking it very well. We then fire off a quad super effective Stab Giga Drain to one-shot the Onix and fully heal ourselves up. Hitmonlee comes out and I stay in. I didn't realize this thing had Blaze Kick, and had that crit, that would have one-shot us. No matter, we connect with a Sleep Powder and can get a safe swap in to Trichloride. We go for Fly. As the Hitmonlee stays asleep, we connect and we one-shot. Hitmonchan then comes out and we outspeed it, so we can take this thing out with a Fly. Luckily, these 95 accurate moves are actually connecting. As the Machamp comes out, I go for Fly, and then I get hit with a Rock Slide because I forgot this thing has no guard. We do tank it on 41 HP and then connect with a Stab super effective Fly to one-shot the Machamp, but that was a bit risky of a Bruno battle. Karen is last for the Elite Four, and her Dark-type team, and I say that in quotations, can be a little bit tricky. Her Umbreon is tanky and a bit annoying. We do have Stab super effective Bug Bite, which surprisingly does a lot of damage to this bulky Umbreon. It just goes for Feint Attack, which is the best case scenario. It could have gone for Sand Attack. This could have been very annoying. Another Bug Bite, though, does take out the Umbreon, and this is where we start controlling the battle. With the Umbreon fainting and Phosphine out, Karen sends out Murkrow. I immediately swap into Ammonia, who tanks a Pluck very well, and then can fire off a Thunderbolt that one-shots the Murkrow. This baits out the Houndoom, so we can swap into Cyanide on a Dark Pulse that we tank very well, and then fire off a Surf that doesn't actually KO the Houndoom. Citrus Berry then heals it up a little bit, and it just goes for Nasty Plot, so we go unpunished as another Surf takes out the Houndoom. This brings out Vileplume, which I swap into Trichloride. It was going for Stun Spore. I actually have a Lumberry just in case of that, but we can fire off a Stab Super Effective Fly that one-shots the Vileplume. This brings out Gengar. Now what I should have done here is U-turned into my own Gengar, but instead I bring Phosphine back out on a Spite that fails. I then go for Shadow Sneak that does right at half, and Gengar misses a Focus Blast. I go for Shadow Sneak again, and it leaves Gengar on a Sliver, but it's going for Destiny Bond. So, I'm not 100% sure how Destiny Bond works, and I swap into Monoxide, and Karen goes for a full restore. We then put the Gengar to sleep with Sleep Powder, and I bring my own Gengar out as Gengar stays asleep, and then we can outspeed it and one-shot it with a Stab Super Effective Shadow Ball. That was a bit scary, but we did it deathless. Last for the Elite Four is Lance and his quote-unquote Dragon types. Of course, he leads with the Dragon-type Gyarados, and I am leading Ammonia. We soak up the Intimidate, it does not matter. We do have the Choice Specs equipped for this battle. A quad super effective Choice Specs boosted Thunderbolt, of course, is going to one-shot the Gyarados. Again, that's like a Pokemon Law, just like a Grass-type move one-shotting a Geodude or an Onix. Out next is the Aerodactyl. We surprisingly outspeed and can fire off that Specs boosted Thunderbolt, and we do one-shot the Aerodactyl. It's a very rare sight that we outspeed in one-shot. Charizard then comes out, and I believe this thing has Shadow Claw, so I pivot into Cyanide, which gets hit with a Shadow Claw on the swap-in, and we tank very well. We then fire off a Surf. It's not boosted, it's just raw power, and it doesn't quite one-shot the Charizard. Very well holding on there, Charizard. Air Slash drops us below half, and then we can fire off another Surf that takes out the Charizard, putting us in prime position for the 3 Dragonites. The first of 3 come out, and we fire off a Never Melt Ice boosted quad super effective Ice Beam that one-shots the Dragonite. Any one of these actually survive an Ice Beam, we're going down. The second Dragonite falls the exact same way, and his Ace Dragonite comes out, and this is where I was a little bit scared, but we fire off that quad super effective Never Melt Ice boosted Ice Beam, and we easily one-shot the final Dragonite, winning us the Elite Four, winning us the run. Now, of course, we are playing the Gen 2 remakes, and though we've beaten the Elite Four of Johto, there's still a whole other region to take on, and that is Kanto. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the post-game. Before heading to Kanto, we need to head to Olivine, not to get on the ship, but to head to the Battle Frontier and start racking up some battle points. There are some TMs that we need for our team to get a little bit of an upgrade, such as Energy Ball, Brick Break, and even Sludge Bomb we can pick up. This was the team that made it through the Elite Four, so this is the team that we're going to try to beat Kanto with. And with a few hours of grinding, we're on the boat heading to Kanto. There's always a wave of nostalgia as we cross this bridge into Vermilion, but we're not here for nostalgia, we're here for 8 more gym badges. None of them are going to be really that difficult. Maybe Sabrina, I don't know. I'm going to pick up the Psychic TM and Saffron, and then we're just going to take on the gyms. I'm only going to show them if things get dicey. Otherwise, we're just going to head off to Blue and then Red, because those are the post-game battles that are the most difficult. There's really not been an issue with any of the gym battles. We're taking on Sabrina here, but with a Pokemon like Ammonia that is super fast, the Choice Specs, and Shadow Ball, yeah, her team goes down in one-shots all the way around. Super, super easy. Just like the Sabrina battle, every other trainer was a one-shot sweep. Janine we took out with Psychics from Ammonia. Surge we took out with Oxide's Earthquake. Misty was a combination of Ammonia and Monoxide. Brock went down to Energy Balls from Monoxide. Erica went down to Flies from Trifluoride. Blue has a non-monotype team, and we're not going to one-shot sweep his entire team with one Pokemon. His Executor does go down to a single Shadow Ball. The critical hit didn't matter. As long as we control the pace of this battle and we pay attention, we should walk away unscathed. Hopefully we don't lose a single Pokemon. Arcanine, for whatever reason, comes out after the Executor falls, and we swap into Cyanide. We do get hit with a Flare Blitz that we tank very well on the swap in. A little bit of recoil damage, and then a stab super effective Surf takes out Arcanine. Next up is Rhydon. I don't know why it came out, but a quad stab super effective Surf takes it out. We do have the held Mystic Water helping us out just a little bit. As the Machamp comes out, I know it's going to go for Thunder Punch, so I swap into Monoxide that tanks a Thunder Punch very well. We can then hit the Machamp with a Sleep Powder, hoping for a safe swap in. This thing is very dangerous. We pivot back into Ammonia, the Machamp stays asleep, and then we fire off a Psychic. I do not have the choice specs, I have the Wise Glasses from Pewter equipped, and we don't quite knock out the Machamp. Annoying, but that's so we can swap up our moves, hitting a Thunderbolt and then a Psychic combo to take out the Machamp. And the reason for the lack of choice specs is because Gyarados and Pidgeot are last, and I want to be able to swap up my moves. A quad super effective Thunderbolt takes out the Gyarados very nicely, and this just leaves Blue with his Pidgeot. Again, we fire off a super effective Thunderbolt, and it is enough to one-shot, winning us the 8th and final Kanto Gym. And this culminates with a battle against Red atop of Mount Silver. We've leveled up the entire team, and we are ready for this challenge. Leading against his Pikachu, I lead Phosphine. I know that seems a little bit weird, but I'm going to control the Pokemon that come out next with this move. With the Choice Scarf, we actually outspeed and can go for Dig. Volt Tackle, of course, misses as we're underground, and then the Hail is going to do a little bit of chip damage to the Pikachu. I don't know if that damage was necessary, because we come up and we hit a super effective Dig that does one-shot the Pikachu. These health bars go down so slow. This brings out Charizard. Like I said, we're controlling the Pokemon that come out next, so we can swap into Cyanide. Cyanide tanks a Flare Blitz very well, but gets burned. Well, that wasn't in my cards. I do decide to set up the rain to get rid of the hail, and then we get hit with an Air Slash that we survive on 70 HP. After the burn, we're sitting at 27 HP, and there's nothing else to do here but just click Surf and knock out the Charizard. It's very unfortunate, but the first death of the run comes in Cyanide falling to its burn. It does piss me off, but I swap into Monoxide because I believe the next Pokemon is Lapras, and I was correct. That thing has Psychic, so we put it to sleep. It also has Blizzard, which is very annoying. And then we fire off Energy Ball that takes this thing low into red health. Yeah, and then of course it wakes up and then hits us with a Blizzard. We do survive on 38 HP, which means after the full restore, we can hit a Hidden Power Rock for some chip damage, and then an Energy Ball to take out the Lapras. This brings out Snorlax. I do pivot into Oxide on a Crunch, which we tank very well, and then a Brick Break takes Snorlax below half health, and then it connects with a Blizzard. Of course it does. We survive on 10 HP, but we get frozen. Oh, I was not anticipating that either. A Shadow Ball then takes out Oxide, and that is the second death of the run. What the hell? I bring Phosphine out at this point and go for a Poison Jab that takes Snorlax low into red health, and then we finally avoid a Blizzard. They've been 100% accurate up to this point. Red then uses another full restore, which is very concerning. A double Poison Jab takes Snorlax to about a third of health, and then we get hit with a Blizzard. We actually tank it fairly well, and another Poison Jab takes out the Snorlax. Blastoise comes out next. We have the Choice Scarf, so there's nothing we can do but hit Poison Jab and tank another Blizzard. We'll fire off one more Poison Jab and then get taken out from a Flash Cannon. Phosphine was my starter, and it does suck to lose him here, but I wanted a safe swap in to take out the Blastoise with a Cross Poison. This primes us up as the Venusaur comes out, because now we can hit it with a stab, a super effective Life Orb boosted fly, one-shotting it and beating Red, the ultimate champion. The death of Cyanide really threw me for a loop. The unexpected burn wasn't something I anticipated. I probably would have lost Cyanide to Lapras regardless because it has Psychic. Losing Oxide to a random freeze is also kind of a low blow. Lost 2 Pokemon there to RNG. Phosphine we probably could have saved, but it is what it is. Switching around to keep it alive, we might have lost another Pokemon, so I made my choice. And the fact that we only have 3 deaths at the end of the Johto run here with poison types is absolutely amazing. I cannot wait to use these Pokemon in later generations. It is my favorite, and I do love them dearly. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. My next video is not going to be a poison type run, and I'm not 100% sure what it's going to be just yet. But as always, if you did enjoy the video, leave a like, leave a comment, consider subscribing if you've made it this far and new to the channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one.